On octave, the point of the improvisation is not based so much on harmonic challenges, but rhythmic challenges. We have, after the intro, which is kind of put in there for you to tune up, get your E's together. After the intro, we have a pattern setup that repeats over and over again of 4/4 for 3 bars, and then 1 bar of 3/4. So this pattern goes for 4 revolutions, and then it goes 4/4 all the way, and then it goes back into the 3 bars of 4/4, and 1 bar of 3/4. You might even think of it as 15 metric units. But the whole point in working with basically an E minor scale is to work off of the rhythm and get into ways of improvising based on rhythmic foundations rather than harmonic foundations. Probably the strongest parts of the solo occur when I start playing from double B note to double D note. What I'm doing there is making sure that no matter how many 16th notes are being played, I'm paying attention to where one, that is to say the first beat of the first 3 of the 4/4 bars in the pattern, where one falls, and never losing my place. Now this occurs in another place where I'm doing 4-fingered runs, the first one starting on A. It's actually an exercise, but I'm getting these 4-fingered runs. Each 4-fingered run takes up 1 beat, so even though it's an uneven meter, I'm able to follow the beat very easily by paying very close attention to the basic track, which continues to repeat the pattern, making it easy for me to depend on beat 1 coming down and my coinciding with it. So I do this 4-fingered quote exercise unquote, and once again here's an example of something that was showed to me by a guitar player of what you might consider another generation. His name was Andy Nelson. He showed me this. I asked him, what can I do to build up my technique? He said, do this. And so I eventually used this 4-fingered thing, with variations of course, in my own improvisation, and this is what makes it rather unique. Coming out of this 4-fingered thing into a floating time feeling back into following with the pattern, that is to say I'm going bump, 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 dee dee doo 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 doo. That's your basic rhythmic pattern that you have to work with, so you can play just about any note that you want to lay on top of the E minor mode when you're playing this. And there are several fast cadenza type runs which I've written out on your music paper, which you can work with, try to play along with the record if you wish, but you can also just use them for your own purposes. That is to say, I used to take solos off of records not only to be able to try to perform it, but just to see how an improviser's mind worked. This worked very, very good for me with Wes Montgomery, with Barney Kessel, with Tom Farlow, with lots and lots of guitarists like that. Jim Hall, Eric Clapton, I could go on forever, Jimi Hendrix. Taking these things off, note for note, not so much for the purpose of performing them, even though that's okay, but learning how the man thinks. So Octave is based on working with rhythmic challenges and the 15 metric units, and as long as you can get into the feel of the pattern with these accents coming on the ends of beats, that is to say 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1 again. So let me count that out a little bit slower for you so you won't have any problem understanding this 3 bars of 4/4 and 1 bar of 3/4. I'll give you 4 for nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1. So, armed with those particular weapons, I hope that you can traverse the rhythmic wars that are presented to you by Octave. Also in Octave we have a section that goes into 4/4. This came about as I was executing the basic track, going into 4/4 with some very, very beautiful chords, and I got into some more melodic statements, the most notable of which I can compare to Tim Hardin's song, da 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 da. If I Were a Carpenter. It's almost note for note that phrase from that song. However, I believe I put the timing a little bit different. And in this section, you can, once again, I hate to keep using the same word, but float as opposed to dig in, as I was earlier with the four-fingered exercises and the quick 16th notes going between B and D. You've always got to remember that to make an effective creative expression, you must try to utilize all the things, all your tools that make for contrast. And these contrast-inducing tools force you to make your own scenario every time you improvise, every time you play. And according to how you think and according to how well you concentrate, you can make your scenario as deep and eloquent as you are capable. I would like to thank all of you people out there, guitar players of all ages and all sexes, for creating the kind of exciting, dynamic atmosphere in the world of music today that makes it possible for all kinds of music, especially guitar music, no matter how sophisticated, no matter what style, to be presented to people who do want to learn about these things. The communicative element of records like this and of Guitar Player magazine make it possible for people everywhere, in every country, to share in the growing knowledge of guitar literature that we are now amassing in order to help improve the standard of music for generations to come.